So this Thursday comes the first raid for Throne and Liberty, a 12-man raid comprising of 3 different bosses, and we'll be able to get new gear including legendary items. Be aware though, that's not all. We'll have the ability to upgrade Tier 1 Archboss Weapons. Honestly, don't know why this wasn't implemented when TheLandro was released, but they're doing it now. You'll be able to get these new Flame Archboss Weapons. On the Korean server here, we can already have a look at those. As you can see here, THEVEN's Frenzied Flame Sword, and these are actually a little bit more powerful than their previous versions. You can see what they're required to obtain. I will also go through the cost of some of the new upgrade materials for the legendary gear and the requirements to unlock the new raid. You can already prepare now. If you haven't watched my previous video where I go over the full details of this update, I highly recommend you do so, but this video will go a little bit more in depth as we can actually see these items on the Korean server right here. We'll begin with those new Flame Archboss weapons like THEVEN's Frenzied Flame Sword, Queen Belandir's Frenzied Flame Blade. You can already see all of these require the +12 version of the Tier 1 Archboss weapon, along with 90 of this new currency and then just some upgrade materials. So these are still going to be very much exclusive to players who have already obtained the Tier 1 versions. If we look on the calendar here, you can see in daily where the new time slot will be for these Archboss events. For example, you can see here they've moved to the Friday this traditional Archboss fights like the Belandir and the Delaznoa, and they've pushed to Saturday the new Archbosses, the Awakened Archbosses. So this is Peace Tevent, and if you get like rank 6 or higher, you would get 3 of these new Ashen Tevent's Abyss tokens. Even if you get rank 100, you're still going to obtain 1 of them. I don't know if we're going to be able to sell these, it doesn't look like it by the tooltip, but you will again need to collect 90 of them before you can get the new frenzied versions, and otherwise they appear to drop still the normal Tier 1 version. So you're not going to be able to drop the new Tier 2 versions. You will simply have to participate and get these tokens to be able to upgrade them. They will of course become a lot more accessible because this means we have 4 times every week an Archboss event. There is also the option to do, say, your guild event. You will still guaranteed always obtain one of those Ashen pieces and the Tier 1 weapon drop. But let's go to look at the stats of these when they get upgraded. So the THEVEN's Greatsword here is going to go from this on the left to this on the right. You're getting a bit of a base damage boost there, 1 extra point in dexterity, but most noticeably is the skill difference. You will now have an additional explosion, and this will be 1.5 seconds after the first explosion. Otherwise, still the same damage on those explosions. So yeah, now that skill effect deals double as much damage. But in terms of stats, it's a pretty minor upgrade. So then we go to the Sword and Shield with the Queen Belandir Frenzied Flame Blade. You can again see the differences. You're getting a bit of a base damage boost, 1 point extra in damage reduction, 1% more shield block chance, and 1 more strength. As for the skill bonus, all that changes is what looks to just be the cooldown, from 34 seconds down to 18 seconds. So you'll just be able to use it a bunch more. Then for the daggers, the THEVEN's Frenzied Flame Katana. It gets a small base damage boost here, 1 more point in dexterity, and then the skill simply gets an additional effect of a boost of 250 hit chance. Additionally, the damage when you enter Camouflage Cloak is doubled, now 410%. So a decent buff for PvP. Then we go to the crossbow, the Queen Belandir Frenzied Flame Bow. Again, base damage boosts here, and 1 more point in dexterity. As for the skill bonus, it's getting an increase with regards to the base damage over time. This will now be 170% versus 110, and it will reduce your target's damage reduction by 14 for poisoned targets. Then for the bow, the THEVEN's Frenzied Flame Bow, a bit of a base damage boost, 1 more point in perception, and then the THEVEN's Bombardment goes from 54% damage per projectile to 82%. As for the Queen Belandir's Frenzied Flame Wand, I don't know why I say wand, it should be staff, but you can see a bit of a base damage boost, 1 more point in wisdom, and then the skill simply goes from a 5% chance to a 7% chance. The radius also goes from 3 meters to 4 meters, making it even more impactful in multi-target fights. Then for the wand, the THEVEN's Frenzied Flame Scepter. I think they mixed this one up. This should be the wand, and the staff should be the scepter. But we can see, again, small base damage boost here, 1 more point in wisdom, and then the skill effect. Probably the least changed of them all. You simply get a defense shred of 10 for 30 seconds on your target. They didn't even improve the chance for it to apply. Probably because, yeah, it's already pretty powerful. And finally, the Queen Belandir's Frenzied Flame Spear. A bit of a base damage boost here, 1 more point in perception, and then the skill bonus. It simply gives you a damage increase by 800% of base damage. I assume on death from above, that skill. When you actually land it on targets, it's going to deal that damage. Normally, it only deals 200%. So ultimately, these new Frenzied Flame Archboss weapons are not going to be that game changing. It's a bit of minor buffs here and there, but I would say, yeah, the staff getting that extra radius to 4 and the chance to 7 could be pretty huge, just killing groups of enemies. And then now double damage that like the THEVEN Greatster is going to do, having that explosion that can hit twice. You of course need to lock down your target so they remain within the area though. And then THEVEN's bow does get a pretty decent buff, going from 54 to 82. And the rest of them don't really seem that impactful from what I can see. You can of course leave your opinions in the comments below. I'd be interested to read them. But I would assume this is more of a min-max thing. Again, Archboss weapons are not going to be for everybody. In order to obtain these, you have to obtain the original tier 1 version. It should get twice as easy to obtain them now that we'll have those Archboss events 4 times a week versus just twice. As per the Korean schedule here, it's going to be an Archboss event on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Within Siege Sunday every second week, or every week if you own the castle, since they have now aligned tax delivery to also be with the Siege. That way inter-server Siege is every second week too. Now one thing to be very mindful of is the fact we're getting legendary weapons. And this allows you to extract the skill from any of our tier 2 weapons and tier 1 Archboss weapons and put them on these new weapons. Therefore, you might question what's the point in these new Frenzied Archboss weapons. Well, the thing is, at least when these legendary weapons release, you will only be able to use one of them. You will only be able to equip one. You will have to choose based on your build which will be best for you, but the other weapon then would ideally be, yes, an Archboss weapon, like one of these Awakened Archboss weapons. Again, of course, depending on your build and whether that actually suits you. But that means they do have a place. We will need to look a bit more closely with regards to those legendary weapons, and you will have to make an educated decision which of your 2 weapons is going to be your legendary one. From what I can see here in the Korean server, you're going to have to go to Herba Village, and this is where the raid gate is. And adjacent to that is the NPCs, the vendors. This is going to be your skill core device, and this is going to be your exchange merchant. I can't access them right now because you have to complete the quest line. In order to unlock the new raid, you have to do the interlude here if you have not done so already, so go ahead and do that. And you also have to do the extra codex 2 wings of sherywtf, and then the second part of that as well. These will come with the new raid, so you're going to have to do a little bit of questing before you can actually access the raid. Additionally, I hope you've saved onto your precious marine ores. You're going to need a lot of them to craft these skill core extraction scrolls. You can see how you use like 2 of those extraction scrolls to take out that skill from the item. This of course will destroy that item, just like extracting a trait would with extract stones. But once you have the skill core, you can imprint it on a legendary item, as you can see, which needs these imprint books. And these will require these chaos prisms you'll get by beating the bosses in the new raid, and they also require precious marine ore, along with 50 precious parchment. And to upgrade those weapons, you will just need some precious powder and more chaos prisms from the raid. And that's pretty much it. Again, I will complete the codex, get the quest chains, and we can have a look at the skill core device and the merchant. Once I unlock the raid as well, I should also be able to see the loot tables, and we should be able to extrapolate how much time it should take you to say get your legendary items to upgrade them. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to take like a good few months, just because again we are going to be time gated. We can only complete this new raid a maximum of 1 time per week per difficulty. There are of course 3 bosses, so you'll get rewarded after each boss. And yes, we will have 2 difficulties to begin with, 3rd difficulty coming in August. But that's it for this video. A special thank you to all my channel members for your extra support. If this was somewhat helpful, consider leaving the video a like. And if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.